Hi, it's Noelle from Certix. Thanks for joining me. I am with Damian Davis, winemaker and owner of Portlandia Wines. His Willamette Valley Pinot Noir is one of my staff picks for the holiday sale running December 1st through the 13th. Damian, you're a longtime friend of Certix. We love carrying your wines. Everyone obviously misses seeing you in the store since we're in unusual times for 2020. I was hoping I could have a couple of your minutes to talk about this great wine that I love so much, but also maybe hear a little bit about what's been going on in Oregon with winemaking, with 2020, and talk a little bit more about kind of how things are going for you. So let's talk about the whole winemaking situation in 2020 right now.
So yes, Noelle, thanks for having me. Cheers.
Yes.
The 2020 has been a really interesting year, a different year for all of us all around the world. But in farming, we had a couple incidents that drove the harvest. And one of them was in spring. We had what's called a small fruit set. And the fruit set is determined by the flowering, the blossoms that come out, and each blossom turns into a berry. So we had a small fruit. That typically means is you get really intense wines because the ratio between skin and the flesh of the grape is much higher towards skin. So you get really great color, a little more tannin, intense fruit. That was actually something we were looking forward to, even though that means a smaller harvest. Then the fires came in the fall and the winds pick up. And it happens all along the West Coast, but it has not really hit Willamette Valley in years past. So this was the first time we've been dealing with it. Thankfully, Willamette Valley was much of the damage that you saw on TV from Napa and those other areas. But we did have fires that were in the Cascade Mountains, and the winds were blowing really fast towards the west. So they blew across the Willamette Valley and out over the ocean. And some of that wind carried with it smoke and ash that can come to rest on the vines. So you want to be really careful in how you're picking the fruit in making sure that you get the least amount of that, smoke and ash. And what we found by testing and consulting people both in Australia and California and even Washington that experienced it in the past is it really depends on your location. The closer you are to fire, the more you have to be careful with that. And the less close you are, the better chances that you won't have any compromised grapes. And that's what we're doing. We're just trying to make sure that what we put in the bottle from the 2020 vintage meets the standards that you and I have for delicious Pinot Noir from Willamette Valley. And Pinot happens to be a sensitive grape for that. So we were really careful. It'll be a small harvest from 2020, but it'll be spectacular. The good news is about the wine we're tasting is 2018. That was both a great harvest and it was large. So we got a bunch of the 2018 wine, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
And so what's great about this wine, I feel like, is in my tasting notes, I say it's an energetic wine. And I think that's a pretty great way to describe it. It's got classic Pinot characteristics, but it's still fairly young. And so it's showing a lot of that exuberance. I would imagine if you stock up on some wine of 2018, this Portlandia, you're going to be pretty pleased with what happens, not only in drinking it now with that kind of youthful feistiness, but seeing it turn into a more mature wine. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. And I think 18 is worth a case buy. It's been getting great reviews as a vintage from Oregon. Some of those reviews are coming out now. So that's what you see is not, we don't know a whole lot about the vintage except the 2020 is going to be small. The vintage reports are coming out 2 years after these grapes were picked. And they're saying this is one of the best vintages, both at value and high end.
Well, let's talk about that because Wine Enthusiast named this one of its top wines of the 2020 year for value for Pinot Noir, which is a huge, huge accolade.
Yeah, and Noelle, you know me. I come from a big family, big Catholic family, and a restaurant. I like to drink on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays, so I need price points below 20. That was our whole goal in creating Portlandia Pinot Noir, and this $20 and under label was I want the very best the Willamette Valley has to offer, but I want to keep that price below 20 so that you and I can look forward to it on a Tuesday and drink it and share it.
Well, and you also offer a really great value on your single vineyard Momtazi Pinot Noir, which sits at $40 on our shelf every day. And that's an incredible value considering Willamette Valley, single vineyard, and all of the know-how that's gone into this wine. So maybe you can talk about this a little bit real quickly. So if people like the regular Willamette, they may consider looking at this.
Yes, this is the holiday Pinot. It's a $40 price point. We spend a little more money on on select grapes from one family, the Momtazi family in McMinnville. It's an exquisite vineyard. If you get a chance, go visit them. Their winery is called Mesara, but it's Momtazi Vineyard. And it's a biodynamic site, which is a really special kind of farm using organic techniques, plus animals are there that are providing fertilizer. And then we also use a new French oak in this program. So we only do about 30 barrels a year. It's a small program, spectacular fruit. Everything comes from that one farm. And it's a really special bottle of wine and shows scores that reflect that.
That's great. Well, I'm thrilled. So let's maybe talk about what you, as an expert, as the winemaker, what do you taste when you are tasting your own Pinot Noir? Maybe you can give a tutorial for customers who maybe are looking at this before they consider a purchase of the Portlandia Pinot.
When we taste the wines at the winery, or 2 years later, like we're doing now, we're always looking for that telltale characteristic of Pinot Noir, which is Bing cherry. I want that fruit to really shine through, and I get some of that Bing cherry on the nose. We look for other characteristics. People describe Pinot Noir as earthy and loamy or a little mushroomy. That's a common characteristic, whether it's in Burgundy or Willamette Valley. And so you get some of that as well. That really shines through with some of the McMinnville fruit. We talked about trying to produce a less expensive wine in this label. What I did was, in 2018, we got fruit from right across the street from Momtazi. So it's McMinnville, it's a special site, it's up in elevation, but it's a little less expensive. So we were able to literally put 30% of the wine from a really special vineyard. It helped us keep the price down, but bring the quality up. So every year you're looking at vineyards around the valley to produce that. The other one is you get a little oak. I like describing it as sort of my grandpa's pipe tobacco. It's a little bit of that.
Yeah, definitely.
That cherry pipe tobacco. You get the Bing cherry. There's some tannin in here, but it's really light tannin compared to Cabernet or some of the other Bordeaux blends that you might get from California or from France. And that's what makes it such a great food wine. And during the holidays, we have a lot of eclectic, traditional meals that we eat that are crazy things all paired together. And Pinot Noir tends to be a really food-friendly wine. That's why chefs and sommeliers love it. It goes with so many different foods, from salmon to trout, all the way through to lighter meats and rice dishes. I love doing it with barbecue, whether it's slow cooked ribs or pork or a brisket that we'll do. So any of those, slow cooked meats, perfect for that. And it'll stand up to ribs and, standing rib roasts. I love doing like a New York strip during the holidays. And sure, that's steak, but done as a roast, you get all kinds of other flavors that you're going to bring out.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this is super versatile for the holidays for almost any type of diet, vegetarian, to a full, like you said, even a beef dish would not be lost on this.
Yeah, we did a risotto. So that right now in the Pacific Northwest, heavy mushroom season, right? So you can get chanterelles at the market for $4.99, $9.99 a pound. We did a vegetarian risotto, and we used chanterelles and delicata squash. And I actually used the Pinot Gris to cook with it. And then we had the Pinot Noir with the actual meal. So this is kind of my open up, when I'm doing brunch and starting to cook in the morning, and you can have a couple glasses of the Pinot Gris because it's so refreshing. It's a great palate cleanser and just a great white wine. But then with the meal, I actually paired it with the Pinot Noir. So we had great mushrooms, delicata squash, and a mushroom risotto.
Well, I think people are going to need to buy a case because we're giving them lots of reasons to cook a lot at home and pair this with many things. So, Damian, thank you. I appreciate you. We miss seeing you in store, but hopefully we'll see you in the near future soon, and people can enjoy drinking your wine and watching you on video.
I can't wait to get back there. God bless you and the family at Certix and everyone else.
Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Thanks, Damian. Take care.
So long, Noelle.